Hey guys, today we are going to answer the question, what is the distributive property and how do I simplify expressions involving the distributive property? So to simplify expressions involving the distributive property, we're going to multiply every number inside the parentheses by the number and sign directly outside the parentheses. So let's look at number 1. The number outside the parentheses is 3, and we have 2x plus 4 in the inside. So I'm going to distribute or multiply that 3 to the 2x and 4. So 3 times 2x would be 6x, because we just multiply those coefficients and then we leave the variable. And then 3 times 4 is 12. And make sure that you put your plus sign to show that it's a positive 12. And remember, in an expression, we have to connect our terms with plus and minus signs. All right, let's look at number 2. I'm going to distribute or multiply the 7 to the x and to the negative 10. So 7 times x would be 7x, and then 7 times 10, or you could think of this as 7 times negative 10, would be a negative 70. All right, number 3, I am distributing a negative 9 to 4x and to 8. So negative 9 times 4x would be negative 36x, and then negative 9 times 8 would be negative 72. Number 4, we need to be very careful with the signs here. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So when I distribute this negative number to negatives, I'm going to end up with positives. So negative 15 times negative x is going to be positive because we have a negative times a negative, and then 15 times x is 15x. And then negative 15 times negative 9 would be positive, and then I need to work this out. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So I get positive 135. Okay, number 15, I am distributing a 1/2. So I need to figure out what half of 16x and half of negative 10 are. So 1/2 times 16x, well, half of 16 is 8, so that becomes 8x. And then 1/2 times negative 10 would be negative 5. Okay, number 6, I have negative 0.3 that I'm distributing. So negative 0.3 times x would just be negative 0.3x. And then I have negative 0.3 times the negative 9. So I have a negative times a negative, so I know that's going to be a positive. And then I need to figure out what 0.3 times 9 is. Well, there's one decimal point there, so I'll add that back in the end. I'm just going to think of this as 3 times 9, which is 27, and then I add my decimal point back in, so it's 2.7. So this ends up being negative 0.3x plus 2.7. Okay, number 7. It says, write the perimeter of the square as a simplified expression. So each side of the square is 1.5x plus 10. It's a square, it has all the same sides. So we could add those together, or we can use the distributive property. There are 4 of the sides that are 1.5x plus 10. So now I can distribute. And 4 times 1.5x, well, 4 times 15, 4 times 15 is 60, and I would need to add one decimal place back in there, so it would be 6.0 or just 6x. And then 4 times 10 is 40. So the perimeter of that square is 6x plus 40. All right, then on this one, I have the perimeter of a triangle. One of the sides is 3x plus 5, and I can see based on these lines that all 3 sides are congruent. So I have 3 sides that are 3x minus 5 each. So 3 times 3x is 9x, and then 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. So that is the distributive property. Now we're going to look at expressions that don't just have the distributive property, they're going to have another step. So to simplify expressions, the first thing we will want to do is the distributive property if there are any parentheses. Make sure to only multiply the numbers inside the parentheses, and then simply rewrite the other terms outside the parentheses, including their signs. And then after we distribute and rewrite the rest of the expression, we will combine like terms to simplify the rest of the expression. So let's look at number 9. I have a 3 outside the parentheses, and I'm going to distribute that to what is inside the parentheses. So 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. This plus 19 is not inside the parentheses, so it's not a part of the distributing. So I'm just going to bring it down. So I've distributed, now I'm going to combine like terms. This 3x does not have another x to combine with, so that will stay 3x. And then negative 18 plus 19 is positive 1. So that expression simplifies to 3x plus 1. All right, let's look at number 10. So I have this 4x kind of by itself over here, and then I have this plus 2, and the 2 has parentheses directly in front of it, and then inside the parentheses I have 7 minus 3x. So this is what I need to do first. I need to take care of that distributing. This 4x is not a part of the distributing, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring down that 4x. And now I'm going to distribute 2 times 7 is 14. And then 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. Now I'm going to combine like terms. 4x will combine with negative 6x, and 4x minus 6x is negative 2x. And then I just bring down that plus 14 since it doesn't have another constant to combine with. So this expression simplifies to negative 2x plus 14. Okay, let's look at number 11. So this 1.5, I know it's the only number that we see in front of the parentheses, but since the parentheses are separated from the 1.5 by this minus sign, I do not distribute the 1.5. I just bring the 1.5 down. That is not a part of the distributing. What I'm really going to distribute is an invisible negative 1. I just need to distribute that negative sign inside the parentheses since I'm subtracting that group. So negative times x, or subtracting an x, is just minus x. And then negative times a negative 6, or subtracting a negative 6, is the same thing as plus 6. So there's what I get after I distribute. Now we're going to combine like terms. I'm going to start with the x. There's not another x term to combine with that negative x, so it's going to remain negative x. And then I'm going to combine my constants, and 1.5 plus 6 is 7.5.